The heavy oak door of the dungeon cell swung shut with a final resonant thud, sealing Robin Hood in near darkness. The sheriff watched through the grate for a moment, the outlaw's silhouette slumped on a stone bench. "Fret not, Robin," he called, his voice echoing down the damp corridor. "I'll give you the nights to contemplate your new vocation. Tomorrow we begin your training." He turned on his heel, the jingle of his keys the only answer. Leaving the castle's oppressive silence, the sheriff stepped into the bustling, sun-washed streets of Nottingham. His destination was not the tax office, nor the barracks. With a purpose both leisurely and grim, he made his way toward the small, mossy church on the town's edge. Friar Tuck's humble sanctuary was a known haven, a place where the sheriff's writ often seemed to fade. Today, the sheriff intended to reassert it, personally. He pushed the creaking church door open, a sound cutting through the friar's murmured vespers. Tuck stood before a simple altar, his round face paling as he saw the black-clad figure silhouetted in the doorway. "Sheriff," the friar said, his voice strained, "this is a house of God. Have you come to pray?" The sheriff let out a soft, breathy chuckle that held no humor. "In a manner of speaking, friar, I've come to collect." He did not approach the altar, nor the friar. Instead, with a predatory, graceful stride, he moved toward the wooden poor box bolted to a stone pillar near the entrance. Friar Tuck's courage, fueled by a righteous anger, flared. "That is not for you," he blurted, stepping forward. "Those are the mites of the widowed, the pennies of the sick. You cannot—" But his protest died in his throat as the sheriff slowly turned his head, his eyes like chips of flint. The memory of Robin in chains stole Tuck's breath, and his feet seemed rooted to the stone floor. The sheriff turned his attention back to the cruel iron-bound box. He leaned down, bringing his face close to its single narrow slot. His tone shifted into something mockingly sweet, a grotesque parody of kindness. "Hello in there," he cooled. "Are we full today? Huh? Has generosity blessed you?" He paused, as if genuinely waiting for a response from the mute timber. The silence in the church was absolute, heavy with dread. A faint, cruel smile touched the sheriff's lips. "Oh, yes, I know," the sheriff said to the inanimate object, as if the poor box legitimately answered him. "I'll help you with that." From his belt, he produced a long, intricate key, the master key for all the town's official boxes. He inserted it into the lock. Friar Tuck could only watch, his hands clenched into impotent fists at his sides, his heart hammered against his ribs, a mix of fury and profound shame. The sheriff swung the small door open, and with meticulous, almost reverent care, began removing the contents. A few thin silver coins, a handful of battered copper pennies, a single tiny golden locket left by some desperate soul. All was swept into a leather pouch he carried. The clinking of the coins was the only sound. Each metallic tink felt like a violation of the sacred space. Tuck's frown deepened, his face a landscape of sadness and utter disgust. This was not mere theft, it was a desecration, a deliberate demonstration of where true power now resided. With the pouch securely fastened, the sheriff turned to face the friar. "A modest haul," he remarked, weighing the bag in his hand, "but principle, friar, is priceless. The principle that everything in Nottingham is mine, even hope." Friar Tuck found his voice, though it trembled. "You will not get away with this, sheriff, with what you've done to Robin. The people, they will not stand for it. God will not stand for it." The sheriff's eyebrows shot up in a pantomime of incredulity. He took a few slow steps closer. "Not get away with it, my dear friar? I have already gotten away with it. It is done. The law, my law, was witnessed by hundreds. Robin Hood is my property, as legal as the chair you sit on." He circled the friar, his gaze appraising. "Your faith in the mob is touching, but what will he do? Their champion is now my tax collector. Their symbol of defiance now wears my collar." He stopped, leaning in slightly. "And as for you, such a passionate defender of the downtrodden, so involved." The friar stood his ground, but a cold sweat began to prickle at his brow. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying," he whispered, his voice dangerously soft, "that a man of the cloth should perhaps be less political, that continued dissent might lead me to question the validity of your vows." He let the implication hang. "The contract with Hood was quite a success. The law is a versatile tool. I could have one drawn up for you, make you an honest man in the service of the crown, just like your friend. A friar fleecing his flock to get their taxes up to date. Now there's a novel thought." Friar Tuck's blood ran cold. The threat was not of imprisonment, but of corruption, of being turned into the very thing he despised, his faith and his sanctuary stripped from him, made a puppet just as Robin had been. The sheriff straightened up, his business concluded. He patted the pouch of coins. "Until next week, Friar, do encourage your flock to remain charitable. The poor box looks so forlorn when it's empty." With a final lingering glance that promised unimaginable consequences, the sheriff turned and strolled back down the nave. The church door groaned open, flooding the space with harsh sunlight, and then groaned shut, leaving Friar Tuck in a sudden suffocating quiet. The friar did not move. He stood statue still before the altar, staring at the violated, empty box. The sheriff's words echoed in the vaulted space. "My property, just like your friend." The enormity of the situation crashed down upon him. This was not a mere setback. It was a fundamental reshaping of their world. Robin was captive in more than just body, but in spirit, bound by his own word to become an instrument of tyranny. And the sheriff's reach had just extended into the very house of God, his threats proven that no one, not even a friar, was beyond his grasp. A bead of sweat traced the path from Tuck's temple down to his jowl. His usual buoyant optimism was gone, replaced by a deep, chilling worry. He looked from the empty poor box to the crucifix above the altar, and for the first time he felt truly, desperately alone. The battle had not just been lost, the rules of the war had been rewritten in the sheriff's favor, in elegant, damning ink.